Welcome to the WriterWaitPodcast. I'm your host, Kayan Robertson, and in this first interview, after much deliberating, and I do mean much, we have decided, I think, to use Marco Polo. So Marco Polo, if you guys see this, please consider sponsoring. We could use the love over here. It's a very new platform. I do want to say I have learned in the last week that our first guest is not only very patient and very kind, probably as patient as he is handsome. I literally could not ask for a better guest for the first interview for the February installment, The Coldest, Jon Snow.
It's giving Jon Snow in every battle he was ever in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, how did you get the nickname Lord Snow? And was that before or after Game of Thrones? And how has Game of Thrones changed how you're perceived or how you perceive your brand?
Good morning, or good afternoon. I am honored to be here. So thank you so much for allowing me to be on your platform. As far as for your question, how did I acquire the nickname Lord Snow? A major part of it is from Game of Thrones, but another part is from a specific character from a video game called Apex Legends. This is one specific character called Bloodhound. He's like a bounty hunter type of character or whatnot, but the way he speaks and the way he talks, it's like, he give praises to the gods and, blessings be to the Father and stuff like that. And so I kind of picked up, that kind of slang from him, based off a video game. But as far as the Lord Snow, it is mainly based off of Game of Thrones. I'm a huge fan of the show. I love the show. I watch it plenty of times or whatnot. Of course, I cosplayed as Jon Snow a few times here and there. Matter of fact, the most recent cosplay outfit or the cosplay of Jon Snow that I did was back in, last January here in Houston, Texas, when it actually snowed. And so I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity to, be the king of the North,
Absolutely nothing wrong with you being the king of the South. I actually identify as the witch of the South. That's something that I haven't really talked about on any of my platforms because I was actually going to debut it as a part of the song that I made. But you are definitely the king of, I've heard you called actually king of cosplay. And yes, but I also would say that you are the king of collaborations. You have so many amazing collaborations. I saw you did a collaboration with a restaurant. I mean, with the most beautiful women. You do a lot of great videos on your own as well. But you did this one that was like a Drew Hill one with all of these people, all of these different guys. I think you guys were all in cosplay. I mean, I was just like, I could spam like your stuff, but I heard that's really bad for your algorithm. But I would love for you to tell us about some of your most iconic in your mind collaborations. Some of the most, I guess, the ones that you find the most value in, because I know you've done like specifically, I mean, I guess I should let you talk about it, but the one that you did with the vision boards. How did you come up with that? What put that in your mind to do? And what are the most influential to you collaborations that you've done?
As far as for your nickname, which is the Witch of the South, that is a very unique name. So I salute to that. As far as for like me doing collaborations with individuals, I like to bring people together. I normally do stuff by myself because I have very little patience for humans, believe it or not. But my therapist told me that it's okay to invite people out. If they show up, great. If they don't, it is what it is. As long as you show up and you have a good time yourself, that's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? And so, it started off with a small group of invited people out, and it just started growing bigger and bigger or whatnot. And so, whenever I do like collaborations, my main thing is that I don't want people to feel forced nor pressure to do something that they don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? If you don't feel like doing a photo shoot, if you don't feel like doing a video or whatnot, then with all due respect, move around. You know what I'm saying? And I say that respectfully and all. But as far as for like iconic collabs or whatnot, that Drew Hill was doing a JJK Jiu-Jitsu Kaisen photo shoot downtown Houston, and it was just an idea that I want to do. Just something that's just out of the ordinary or whatnot. It was a struggle for all of us or whatnot. We was way off beat, and some individuals, it was their first time hearing the song and the first time doing a dance, so we had to do like a little practice beforehand and all. And so it was really fun. It was really fun. We're going to try to do it again, maybe in March or whatnot, as different characters. Okay, because I do have plans for another collaboration as well too. As far as for the vision board event, that was actually my second annual, my second time doing that or whatever. And this year I just wanted to, my second vision board event, I just wanted to like pretty much make it much more better than my first vision board event. You know, the first time I hosted it was at a comic book shop. It turned out great. It turned out amazing, and I just wanted to like just improve from there. You know, and so not only it was a simple vision board event, but we also had like a 2000s era theme party as well too. And it was fun. It was really fun just bringing out your your baggy clothes that we wore back in the day or whatnot. Some individuals showed up in baby fat, Fat Farm and stuff like that. It was pretty good. It was really fun. And events like that, it's very wholesome, but it's also just educational as well because a lot of individuals don't know the importance of making a vision board. Some people don't know what to do with a vision board. Some people haven't even made a vision board themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's just walking around and just helping out people to like, um, learn about their goals and pretty much take their goals that they have in their mind and place them on a piece of paper so they can visually see it. You know what I'm saying? Because, whatever you can visualize, you can bring to life. It might not happen in a blink of an eye. It's going to take some time, but as long as you keep your vision in sight, everything is going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the way it is. As far as for like any other collaborations or iconic collaborations, for 2025, it's going to be my Demon Slayer collaboration. It was a two-part collaboration. First, it was a group photo shoot or whatnot, and I wasn't expecting a lot. I wasn't expecting a lot of people to show up. We had about like maybe 15, 20 people, I want to say, and that's a lot for not only myself but for like one photographer. And so we went from doing that to weeks on, whenever there was the premiere of the Demon Slayer movie or whatnot. I had the opportunity to actually rent out a theater for us all to like go watch the movie, you know, by ourselves or whatever. And it was fun. It was really fun. It was very joyful just seeing the same individuals come out, as well as additional individuals, just to come out, all go to the movies, all dress up, just pretty much just have a good time. That's all it is. Like I said, I'm very big on just creating my own heaven on earth. So that's just my whole mindset. And I'm gonna just do what I want to do, and I like to do stuff that makes me happy. Plain and simple.
It's funny that you say that about your patience because even though you have been very patient with me, looking at your reels that you make on Instagram, you can almost tell that you are so done with people. Like even your stories on Instagram, I'm like, oh, he's so over women right now. Which I'm like, I literally will watch your stories and be like, who hurt this man? Like, I don't know. Cause I feel like you're probably really sweet as long as people leave you alone. But I can imagine that that doesn't happen a lot because you're always out at all of these events. You're going to all the cons. You're at I want to say Miami Heat. I'm so sorry. You're at a Houston Rockets game like once a week, once every 2 weeks. Like, I don't know. I meant to ask you how they've been doing, but I do check the updates on your stories as well. And I used to be a pretty big basketball fan. I won't say why I stopped because I don't want to ruin it for you. But back when I was really into basketball, like Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and Dwight Howard, I want to say, were all on Oklahoma City Thunder. So I was really into that. I was watching the Sprite slam dunk competitions and everything. Your love for the Houston Rockets, I would love to talk about that. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but where I live, like, I'm surrounded by Cowboys fans. This was actually my grandmother's, God rest her soul, and she's kind of my twin. So I was like, I'm actually gonna milk this area that I'm sitting in. I'm gonna dress to match it. This was her bandana because she, like I said, huge Cowboys fan. So I was like, I'm just gonna lean into that. But are you a Dallas fan as well, or what other teams are you into? Is it just the Rockets? I would love to talk about that. So it sounds like you said that the Drew Hill collaboration was your idea, which, if you didn't, like, I mean, I could believe that it was, because I could tell watching that video where all the flavor was. It definitely, no offense to everybody, I'm so glad they were into it and were willing to do it, but I was like, they didn't know that dance. Somebody taught them that dance today. And I love that they tried it, because it does take a nerve. It takes audacity, darling, to do something like that and then in public. So I'm glad that you make friends like that you have friends like that you're willing to ask people, hey, let's do this, because that's not something that I'm really good at. As you know, I asked two people if they would do this with me. I got one yes that didn't go anywhere, and one person who I don't think saw the message at all. And I was like, you know what? That's enough for me. Universe, if you want me to have a guest, you bring them to me. And then you reached out, which I'm really grateful for, because, like, I can't say enough how perfect this is. I literally thought of you as a person. I didn't think, oh, for February, let's have Jon Snow. I was just like, oh, he would be great on this. And then I just like, but I'm not asking anybody else. So that really lucked out. I feel like the universe, I believe in law of attraction wholly. And I feel like the universe really was, once I got out of my own way, the universe was like, oh, here you go. So thank you. I feel like you're a treasure. And I've sort of been like waiting to have a conversation with you, because I feel like it would happen naturally, because I always have something to say to your crazy stories. Yeah, but I do appreciate your patience. I want to say that again. But back to the events that you've hosted, like with the vision board event and everything. The fact that you did 2000s I thought was interesting as well, because it was already enough of an event, and then you added the 2000s element. And I also did a 2000s event this year. I went on a trip with my best friend and my cousin. We went to, where did we go? We went to Williamsburg this year. We usually keep it in Virginia. We did go to North Carolina, Raleigh one year. But this year we did Williamsburg. We went to Busch Gardens, which is an amusement park here, and dressed 2000s. We listened to 2000s music. I listened to 2000s music on the way to go get her. One of my silliest videos ever. But what is it about the 2000s that had us like, this is the year, we're going to do that? I guess because it was 25 years later, now 26 years later. For me, I didn't realize that we were doing anything worth time capsuling in the 2000s. The 90s, it was very obvious. While I was still in the 90s, I wanted to dress like Aaliyah. I wanted to look like her. I wanted to be her. Not even just because our names are very similar. By the way, I don't know if you call me Robbie or Kay and Robertson or what. My real name is Kalia. So nice to meet you officially. And then you mentioned that you're in therapy, and I wondered, is that where you got the concept of creating your own heaven on earth? Where did you get that from, if not, and what all does that entail? I'm guessing that you wake up every day like, how can you make today the ideal day? And I try to do similar as well. as you know from last week, sometimes that doesn't work, and then I'll just go take a nap, and then I wake up and I feel a lot better. So I'm really glad that this actually worked out, that we actually got to do this interview. I hope you like this platform because I'm enjoying it, except I wish I could remember my questions a little bit better because I feel like I had a lot more questions, but I don't want to stop watching you and staying present with what you're saying. We are checking off some of my questions. Oh, which reminds me, we have the same cat. Like, we have the same cat. So, my boy, his name is Charm. I don't know if you have a boy or a girl, but I would love for you to tell me about your black cat as well.
As far as for the Houston Rockets, I'm a huge fan, of course. That's the only team I rep. Football wise, I don't deal with Dallas Cowboys. I respect all the teams, but if it's not Houston, it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. As far as for like just my patience with humans, I have a careless mentality. You know, I care, but I could quickly care less. You know what I'm saying? And it just comes with life experience. That's all it is. I care about people, but it's like once I start seeing like certain patterns or um, certain ways or habits or whatnot, I respectfully space myself away because I respect my own peace, my my whole peace, my value, my pretty much I guess y'all could say energy or vibrations or whatever, you know what I'm saying, that matters, you know. And if it costs any of that, then it's not worth it. It's not worth my time. You know what I'm saying? So I just quickly move on and just space myself away and just do stuff that makes me happy, you know? And that falls into my whole mentality of heaven on earth, you know. A lot of people, I mean, we all go through stuff, you know, nobody's perfect. You know, we're not at the level that we want to be at, which we are working towards, you know what I'm saying? And so, with that being said, um, and I got this from one of my favorite hip hop artists, and he said, "Stop waiting to die and just live." You know, um, of course, you can't do everything that you want to do, but do what you can. You know what I'm saying? Do what you can, and make sure you do it to your full potential. All right, and make sure whatever you do, make sure it makes you really happy. You know what I'm saying? Don't be forced to do something that you don't want to do. You know, and so that's just like a whole short version of my own heaven on earth. You know what I'm saying? I have my routine. I have stuff. I surround myself with stuff that makes me happy. As you can see, like in the background, like all my collectibles, simple stuff in life, bike riding, working out, going to the gym, my turtles. You know what I'm saying? Cooking, going hiking, going to the basketball game. I do a lot of stuff that keeps my happiness pretty much elevated. You know what I'm saying? And I know Will Smith had this one quote. He said that the more good days you have, you eventually have a good year. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I focus on doing what I want to the best of my ability. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it's like anytime I do any type of side quest, um, it motivates me because I have like a whole new journal entry. You know, I journal a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so I have a journal entry of every single day, and every single day I have like a what I like to call a dope moment, DOPE, a dope moment. You know what I'm saying? And as far as like my dope moments, it could be anything from something small to something that's very adventurous. You know what I'm saying? Like my dope moment could be I had a good workout today. I'm happy. You know, or I had a great collaboration. I'm happy. Work was easy. I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? So I focus on having so many dope moments to just make my inner peace happy. You know what I'm saying? Plain and simple. Um, as far as for the cat, so salute to you to the cat or whatnot. I don't own cats. I just feed the stray cats outside. Okay. I am known as a temporary cat daddy. I would not have no cats inside my snow cave. No, no, thank you. I don't want no cats knocking over anything. I don't want no cat hair. I don't want to deal with none of that stuff. They stay outside. I feed them, and that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? But salute to you and your cat. As far as sort of like the 2000s era or whatnot, it was the theme was it was a fun theme. But back in those days, it was like, to me, life was simple. Life was simple. We wasn't, brainwashed with social media. We wasn't brainwashed with a lot of, reality shows. I mean, we did have reality shows back then, but it wasn't like very toxic as it is now. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, back in the 2000s era, I feel like life was simple. Life was very simple. Video games was very simple. You know what I'm saying? You could get like a game and actually play the game and like work to like unlock stuff instead of having to do like all these microtransactions, having to like be only an online type of platform. Gaming was just a simple gaming platform. You know what I'm saying? Um, from that to people was actually outside, you know, outside just having a good time, outside playing basketball, outside skating. You know what I'm saying? Um, Good music at that too. From hip hop to R&B to neo soul. That's like my top three. You know, sometimes rock here and there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, life was very simple back in the 2000s era. So that's that. But yeah, back to the whole careless mentality. I joke a lot, plain and simple. I like to laugh. I like to joke. I like to. I don't talk the best, but sometimes I like to pop my shit. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And I do it in the most humble way.
So I've actually started taking my own notes as well because I was like, I feel like I missed a couple of things in the last one. I guess to tell you how I got the Witch of the South, it was just one of those posts on Facebook like fill in the blank or let your phone fill in the blank. So the prompt was, I am the witch of the blank, fear me for I am blank. And mine was just so on point with me. I was just like, oh, well, that must be accurate. So it was, I am the witch of the South, fear me for I am grateful. And I would say appreciative because it has a better energetic vibration. But I was like, gratitude is definitely something that has been more part of my daily routine. How can I find things to appreciate? And I was told by the law of attraction coach that I listened to that gratitude implies that something was negative and you have come to appreciate it, but appreciation is the same vibration as love. So that's how I create my heaven on earth. So I love that you have that as well. I might continue to also input the advice from your therapist for me to maybe not just invite people out because again, I'm a little shy, so I might not be readily jumping at the chance to talk to people, but the shyness is going away. I used to be extremely shy. And I'm glad that this worked out, but I do want to think about like things like the Year of Yes, and which is Shonda Rhimes' book, and just kind of saying yes to opportunities, trying different things, crazy things, because it put her in positions that she never expected to be in. And I am interested in adopting those qualities into my life, just looking back and being like, oh my God, how did I get here? This is amazing. And I want to thank you also for making this a dope moment for me and for Writer Wait Podcast. Do you think it is a good idea to show your vision board? Because I know I made mine, well, I made four. I made a fitness one, a home one, a travel one, and one more. What was the other one? Clearly one I don't look at a lot. I'm not sure. I can't think of it right now. But I made 4 vision boards one year and it did feel very powerful. I think it's just something behind the intention of actually having to cut things out and put it together. Like even writing things by hand, but it's really intentional to find the pieces that you want and put them together. And I would share them with you, but I kind of adopted this mindset like maybe if I don't show it, it'll be more powerful for me or it'll work faster. Kind of like the idea of keeping the lid on the pot. If you want the water to boil faster, if you keep taking the lid off, it'll take forever. But if you keep the lid on the pot, it'll cook a lot faster. It's just kind of like my idea. If you are comfortable sharing yours, I would like to see it. But I do like, I want you to keep the magic of yours as well. So if you want to share something, like for instance, I know my home one is like, this is for my future home. And I know I want it to be full of green spaces. I want my food to be fresher, which is another thing while we're talking about food. I told you that I spent a couple years practicing veganism. I don't know if you could say I was vegan, because I think the idea of being vegan is that you don't go back. But I do think everybody should practice veganism, if not, a few times a week or a month, a few times a year. They should try it temporarily. As somebody who's been, in a vegan lifestyle and come back, I honestly would like to be more into the vegan lifestyle again. The only reason, well, there are a few little reasons why I stopped, but all of these are with the idea that later these can be remedied and I can potentially be vegan again. But I think the only thing that would keep me from full stop being vegan rest of my life is just that I restrict myself in so many different areas of my life. And food has always been such this comfort to me. I realized 111 on the clock here, by the way. But I realized once upon a time, I had to tell myself, Kalia, food is not love. And it was just like a crazy revelation, because that was my mother's love language. She grew up thinking that, a child is not supposed to like their mother. So obviously, she didn't think that I liked her, even though I thought she was so cool. My mom is the coolest. But that's more of an outside looking in, not I'm looking at her as my mother, but I'm looking at how she presents to the world. And I know growing up, all my friends, Khalid, you have the coolest mom. And I'm just I know. Most people don't say that. But I also don't feel like it was a mother-daughter relationship. It was more I was watching her show. And then here she is today, viral on TikTok. So I always felt outside of a relationship with my mother. And I'm not sad about it at all. Maybe I should be, maybe I should, I definitely should be in therapy myself. But I just always felt like my mother was this celebrity. And I feel now the world is getting to see that as well. And I don't know where I was going with that. I'm so sorry. I'm cold. I don't know. We'll stop that there. I just think she's really cool. But what does that have to do? What were we talking? Don't worry about it. Well, we'll fix it in editing. I'll pop something on the screen if I need to. But speaking of icons, I feel you renting out a theater is iconic behavior. I don't even know enough people in one area who like enough of the same things that I do to rent out a theater and imagine they would show up. So I do think that is probably something that you learn, that just asking people and seeing what comes of it. I'm really excited to see the redo of the Drew Hill dance. And I want to see, if you don't mind sharing, you don't have to share your vision board, obviously, but if you want to take us on a little tour around your room, no pressure to do your whole apartment, but we need to talk about those magnets on your fridge, because what? That makes me think that you live alone, or you have a roommate who appreciates that. And y'all probably have a lot in common if you do have a roommate. So I like what you've done with your place thus far. If you want to show off some of your collectibles, I would love to see that. That's what we're talking about, food. Yes. So circling back to cooking and food. My mom showed her love with food is what I wanted to say. I felt like I was very outside of her, and our relationship was more of just me observing her, and she was an incredible cook. And I feel that was her love language, even when she was working, 4 days, 40 hours over 4 days, and, also doing all the mom things, and she was working overnight and sleeping during the day. She would literally set up the crock pot and then go to sleep and then get up and finish cooking and then go to work at night. She was the coolest, the hardest working. And she definitely showed her love through the food, even when she didn't know another way to show it. I do think her love language is also gift giving, but the food is what did it for me. And then when me and my two sisters moved out, she was concerned. She was I don't think any of my daughters know how to cook. And it turns out we're all these really amazing cooks. We surprised ourselves. Like, I didn't know I knew how to make all the things that I make. Like, I mean, I'm just like, okay, I guess I can make a vegan gravy. I don't know, but I'm guessing. So definitely did like a mushroom and onion gravy. I've done a full vegan Friendsgiving for not non-vegan guests because, of course, I said I know people. We're all in the same area, or we were in the same area, but none of us ate the same way, except for at the time I was living with my best friend and my ex-husband, and we were all, living a plant-based lifestyle. And so we were like, let's do a vegan Thanksgiving. Let's, show our families that we do eat very well, because our families weren't vegan at all. None of us are vegan now, but I think all of us still greatly appreciate a plant-based lifestyle. People always ask, like, why do you go vegan? But the real question is, why not? Like, why not? If I think about all the benefits that came out of that, sometimes I would be scared that I wasn't getting enough nutrients, but it wasn't because they weren't available. It was just because I wasn't eating them. I would just like start after a while, like especially during quarantine, I would just throw stuff in a blender. Like I was getting misfit boxes, and this was back when you couldn't select what they sent you. You just paid the money and they would ship you a box of ugly produce. I didn't even know what all that stuff was. I would just chop it up, throw it in the blender, and then get back to writing Exposing Lesser Demons. So I really stopped being intentional about food, and that made it harder for me to be vegan. And that's why I talked about, like, I would change my entire lifestyle to be more plant-based. I want to be a farm-to-table girly so bad. I think I could not be vegan, though, because just that whole food is love idea that I've had, I have to try all the food. If I were to go, like, I've never been to an Ethiopian restaurant, and I really want to, or even like a Nigerian restaurant, I want to try egusi stew really, really bad. And if somebody presents me with a great vegan option, I'm going to go with the vegan option. I've gone to a restaurant that had full menu on one side, flip it over, full vegan menu. I was like, no need to flip this thing back around. I want to try the vegan food. I'm always going to, like, if there's a choice, I'm going to try the vegan option. But for me, I'm just like, I'm going to try whatever I think looks and smells the best. But all the herbs and spices are vegan, so it's not very difficult to make a delicious vegan meal. It's just, I do have food FOMO. That is a name. Like, there's this app that I've never used called Noom, but all the targeted ads that come to me, like, they talk about the different eating habits that people have that make them gain weight or have less healthy relationships with food. And food FOMO was the targeted ad that would come to me. And I was like, I'm so glad this has a name, because what I would say is that I'm an opportunist, like an opportunist. If there's an opportunity for me to eat it, I'm gonna eat it. Like, it's just that simple. So, but I do love vegan food. I want to do a vegan, like, I want to do a cooking segment. I might do it, I might not. But, like, I went to this wedding and they had this amazing vegan meal. I've been obsessed with it ever since. I was like, I'm going to have to figure out how to cook this myself so I can make that. And I'm thinking about making it for this episode. Otherwise, I would tell you what it is right now. But otherwise, I would love to know, what vegan meals do you cook? What are some of the best ones you've had, the most notable, the most memorable, but specifically the ones that you make? Because you said that you do like to cook, and that was actually on my list of questions. And yeah, tell me about your turtles, please, por favor. So we know that you are a temporary cat daddy. Love that. My cat boy, he has a sunroom because my dad was not having a cat in this house, let me tell you. But for me, like, I was like, I will let this cat in the house. I was not a cat person, but when I lived with my cousin and ex-husband, a cat just like was like, I live here now. And I was not with that, but they were, so I got outvoted. And it ended up being the most well-behaved cat. And I was like, is this just a black cat thing? And I gambled and got another one. Once we all like moved away from one another and my cousin has our cat, I was like, let me see if I can try my luck with another cat. Had I known that the first cat was a girl, I would have gotten a girl cat because I do think it makes a difference. I have a bitey boy cat. He doesn't bite me so much these days, but cats do regulate your personality. So my cat taught me to be more aggressive in my energy. And they actually have called me aggressive at work. And I was like, well, I used to be really nice and people were mean. So I had to start stepping on them. That's literally what I said. So, I do think I learned from my cat to be more aggressive. Like, I don't hit them or anything, but just they respond to energy. So I have to have a more aggressive stance or energy, and then he'll back off. And haven't been bitten since. So even though I know it's hard for him because he has become an outdoor cat, even though that wasn't how he started. And then, my dad built him the screened-in porch at first, and then I let him slowly transition to being fully outdoors. And then when it got colder, my dad is a master carpenter, so he turned it into a full sunroom, and he loves it. He really loves it now. I don't even have to make him go in there. I don't have to encourage him to go in his room with food. I can just open the door and he'll go in there. He loves his room. And it's mainly because he knows it's his. Like, if I says this is for Charming, he knows what that means and he goes crazy. Like, even toys that people have bought him that he doesn't like because he doesn't play with toys. But if I say this is for Charming, oh my God, he will just go crazy. And then he'll never play with it. He'll just lay next to it. That's it. I love my boy. Monster. Yeah, what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, tell me about your turtles. I did have a snapping turtle for a short while, but I didn't think I was taking good care of it. I was like, I don't even know what to feed this thing, so I put it back outside. It was like 8 years old, so. But I would love to know about your turtles, what kind of turtles they are, what their names are, because I know it's T. Oh yeah, and you mentioned your side quests. At this point, you have more side quests than Snoop Dogg. I know you do. Last question, and I swear I'm gonna let you see this message. But you mentioned that you mentioned your taste in music. I think you have an incredible speaking voice. I gotta know, can you sing? And if you want to give us a little taste, no pressure, but.
As far as for the tour of the snow cave, with all due respect, I am going to decline that. It's only meant for those who are actually invited, who actually have access in person or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But pretty much, I like this space. It's small. It's all me, and that's the way. It's supposed to be. Anyway, but yeah. As far as like my refrigerator, all this other stuff, it's um I like it. It's art. It's art to me. It's fun. I enjoy it, and it is what it is. As far as for the vision board wise, um, it all depends on how you want to present it to people. If you want to show it to people, that's great. To me, I like to show my vision boards to certain individuals that I fully trust or whatnot. And I know I say that even though I just had a vision board event. So I pretty much made two vision boards. I made a mini one of like, my display of what I want to show people or whatever. And then I have like my big main one that I show to like certain individuals or whatnot. As far as like my mini vision board, it's just pretty much mainly travel. I travel a lot last year, well, in 2025, but I want to travel much more in 2026. I actually want to go overseas. I want to travel to Japan. I want to travel to Taiwan. I want to travel to South Africa, and that's on my bucket list. Will it happen? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But I want to aim for that. You know what I'm saying? But also travel to different states, travel to different cities, visit individuals, go hiking, much more or whatnot. So that's like the main thing on my mini vision board. I'm looking at it as we speak right now. So on my main vision board, the main thing that I want to accomplish is I want to get out of this apartment and get into a house. You know, I want to get a house. It's about time for me to, you know, upgrade the snow cave or whatnot. As much as I love the space that I'm in right now, it's time to elevate. It's time to go. You know, it is what it is. And the thing is, like anytime I have like my living residence, anywhere I stay at, I like to have my routine stores or shops nearby. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's going to fall into the next question as far as like food wise, like where the snow cave is now, like my go-to grocery stores, my gym, my go-to thrift stores or liquidation centers is pretty much less than 10 minutes away from me, you know. So that's how like my living arrangements to be, you know what I'm saying? Um, so that's the main thing is a house, but also just once again travel much more, um, just be out in nature much more. You know what I'm saying? As you said that you spam my page or whatnot, there's a lot of scenes where I'm always outdoors or I'm always somewhere in the trees in the woods and stuff like that. It's very peaceful to me. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, it's just that it's it's fun. It's fun being out in nature. You know what I'm saying? On to food. Okay, food is life. I love food. Don't let the size fool you. I eat. Okay, I'm a southern. I'm a Texas boy. I'm from the South. We eat down here. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy cooking. Cooking is so relaxing to me. You know, um, I don't eat out as much. I rather cook at home and enjoy my space. You know what I'm saying? Um, but if I do go out to restaurants, I go to a restaurant where I know I can't make a certain style of food or whatnot. For example, like the pizza restaurant. Okay, I try so many times to make pizza dough. I struggle. Either it gets too doughy, too soggy, or it's just too tough. So I just leave it at that, and I just go and order me some pizza. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like my go-to meals that I enjoy cooking, and it's funny that you said that because I'm actually working on a cookbook slowly but surely. I mean, I've been procrastinating, but it's going to get there. Okay. But as far as some of my go to recipes, um, I enjoy making like a po' boy sandwich out of mushrooms. Very delicious. I enjoy my fajita bowl. Such an easy recipe, but it's full of flavor. I enjoy my kale fried rice. That's like my top one is kale fried rice. It's very nutritious, very it's full of protein or whatnot. Very easy to make. Now, whenever I do cook food or whatever, I am known as a USDA certified baller on a budget. Okay, but when it comes to cooking, I strive to make food or make my ingredients under 25 bucks. But I make it like that, but I also make a big quantity of food so I can have leftovers or meal preps or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to that was what was going to be involved in my cookbook is that I was going to specialize in recipes that are under 25 bucks or whatnot. But I kind of switched it up because in today's modern economy, it's not really as accurate, especially with the inflation or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But not only that, also with certain households, you might have multiple mouths to feed. So that whole concept is out the window. But overall, I'm still working on the cookbook. Okay. Yes, the snow cave. Like I said, it's a. I feel like wherever you lay your head at or whatever you stay at, you have to make your space pretty much beyond comfortable for you. You know what I'm saying? Because if your space isn't comfortable, isn't to your liking, it's going to affect your mentality. You know what I'm saying? It's going to affect your what the kids say nowadays, your aura or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, um, so as far as like my snow cave, I have, as you can see in the background, I have all kinds of displays. I have my collectibles up. I have my rewards, plaques, and stuff like that. Stuff that makes me happy. You know what I'm saying? Um, Moving on to my turtles. Okay, I'm now down to one turtle. One had passed away. God rest his soul. But all is well. Life goes on. You know what I'm saying? But I'm down to one turtle. Her name is Squirtle. She is a yellow belly slider, a red ear slider, pretty much both land and sea turtle or whatnot. She enjoys romaine lettuce. She enjoys eating dried shrimp as well as dried crickets, dried mealworms, and sometimes floaty sticks. It depends on how she feels, but she's a brat, and it is what it is. I am in search of another turtle to add on to this big ass fish tank that I have, you know. But yes, back to food. Food is life. I love cooking. I enjoy putting on some music and just getting ingredients and just making a very delicious dish or whatnot. Yeah, so like I said, whenever I have a visitor or whatnot, they already know they're going to get fed. So it is what it is. Okay. As far as for music, no, I cannot sing. Do I sing in the shower? Yes. Do I do karaoke? Yes. But I don't sing or whatnot. Would I like to? Yes. But sometimes, you know how you record yourself and you hear your voice, you be like, ugh, I sound like that, you know? But it is what it is, though. It is what it is. But yeah, that's I think I nailed all the questions thus far. If you want to see my vision board, I don't mind sharing it with you or whatnot. But it is what it is. I am going to have to head out to pick up a package or whatnot. So if you do make another video with some questions, I'm gonna answer it once I come back home. I'm gonna try to put on the same outfit or whatnot, and I'll make it happen. So just a man on a mission.
I understand that you have to get going soon. This has been probably longer than it would have been since it's not live. And I want to say again, I really appreciate your time. I was thinking that we should probably wrap soon anyway. So take your time responding to this. You know, you have all day. I also wanted to say, because I know that you've been wanting to do a podcast and now you're starting the year doing two. This one, unfortunately, will not be out until after the next one that you're doing, which I hope I remember to tune into that. That is my plan. But I do have a few more questions before I let you go. I wanted to know, since I mentioned quarantine earlier, what was Lord Snow doing during quarantine? I totally respect you declining the tour. I feel like that there's a lot of magic to that as well. But please know that you've built up so much suspense that if you ever do that, I mean, the anticipation of the people, it's going to be crazy. The video will do numbers. Thank you for sharing your vision board. It is safe with me, I assure you that. Maybe I'll send you mine as well, because it's so funny. The one that I couldn't remember, I thought I said that first. So the fact that I didn't say it, I'm like, maybe there's a reason. Maybe Spirit didn't want me to talk about that one, because that one's actually the most important to me and the nearest to my heart. So maybe I will send you that as well. But it is old, so it's all crinkly a little bit now, but I still reference that when I look at it all the time. I do think that that is one that I would like to share with you specifically. Since you shared yours with me, we can trade some magic today. Mushroom po' boy sounds so amazing, but all the food that you mentioned actually sounds really good. I think I would appreciate a kale, what'd you say? Now I'm thinking, I don't know if you said kale stir fry or kale fried rice. I don't know, but it sounded Asian in my mind. It sounded like I wanted it. I pictured a wok. I should have wrote it down. But it all sounds really good. And when you do put out your cookbook, I would love to have you back on to chat about that. However, briefly, I also know a thing or two about publishing books. I am a publisher as well as an author. If you need a publishing house for legal purposes, holla at your girl. But no pressure. If you need a good book distributor, I highly recommend Ingram Spark. The additional element that I want to do along with this podcast, I really tried to use Lulu, but by the time you wait for them to message you back, give you the information and the permission, I'm like, we still haven't started. I can't work like that. I need to work, when I'm ready to work. And that's another reason why I love Marco Polo format, because just how you said, you have to go when you have to go. And then you can come back and answer this because it'll still be here. Hopefully I'll still be wearing the same thing as well. But I haven't eaten yet today, so I think I'm going to go sneak out and do that. But I recommend Ingram Spark. So if you're for your cookbook, I think, you'll probably want a hardback, maybe a paperback. They got you covered. You can skip Amazon, you can skip Apple, you can do it all through Ingram Spark. If you want, you can do it all through Ingram Spark and then take the same thing that you did and then take it over to Amazon and Apple. But please do Ingram Spark first, or whatever distributor you're using first, because Amazon will literally steal your ISBN number and pretend like it was theirs that they gave you if you do that first. However, because I intend to publish so many more books in so many platforms, like I literally own 10 ISBN numbers, and I had to use 4 for Exposing Lesser Demons, hardback, paperback, ebook and the one that Amazon stole, because I did them first. But other than that, you know, I thought it was a pretty easy process. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do it again for this podcast. We'll see. We'll see. That's still in the works because I still have to get like the cover art formatted. That part I have not figured out how to do on my own yet. I might just have to get a different software for that. But other than that, everything's super easy. The cover, I literally just have a Fiverr cover artist who I adore. They nailed it with this book. Like, it wasn't like they got it right the first time, but there was infinite edits that I could ask for. So I was just like, okay, I don't like this. Change that, do this. They revamped everything. And it was like, even though it was slightly later, like it was due one day and it came like 20 days later, which sounds like a lot, but that was still like 10 days sooner than I would have gotten a different cover artist who cost like 4 times more to do it. So it was worth it to use Fiverr. And then I was like, okay, even though it's late and I don't know if I can risk the revisions, I just asked for the revisions that I wanted, and they literally gave them back in like that same day. Like, we were revising all day. So I was like, okay, I can deal with a late cover if it means all my revisions are going to happen the same day. And then I ended up adding the bonus chapter, and I was like, oh my God, the dimensions are now too small. I need you to fix it. I just added 30 more pages, and they were like, it's going to be a couple of days. And then I was like, wait a second, let's just decrease the font and see if that works out. And it worked out fine. So if you have any hiccups with publishing, talk to me. You know, it's time for me to, I guess I should say this now, but my next book is actually coming out this year. I can't believe that, but it's coming out this year. And so I have to get my head into the publishing side again, because authoring is not the same as publishing at all, but it's just like a switch of a hat. I mean, we put on different hats all the time. You get that. So yeah, so you're searching for another turtle. Me, and I think viewers of Writer Wait and all of its media outlets would like to know, are you also searching for a leading lady for another collab or in life? And then lastly, you mentioned words of wisdom that you received from Will Smith. And you also mentioned on your Instagram that you have some, like your grandfather has left some words with you that you sort of live by. Is there any other quotes that have left a mark on your life in such an influential way? Or, you know, are there any quotes that you have made up on your own that have given you a big influence in your life? And besides that, I just really want to thank you again for your time and, in your words, for creating a dope moment. This was really special to me. Sorry, I'm like getting emotional, but I really, like, I know I said this already, but you're the absolute perfect guest for this installment. And it's not just your name, it's your energy, it's your style, it's your patience. I mean, I could not have dreamed of a better outcome. I had considered doing Marco Polo initially, but it feels more right today. But I just, even how, like, this is how, like, everything about this, what I'm wearing, where I'm sitting, the lighting, the book right here, this is totally different than what my vision was, and it's better. And this is for the first episode, so I can only imagine it's going to continue to improve. But I thank you so much for being an influence and an inspiration on this whole thing.
All right, I am back. I do apologize about the delay message or whatnot, but here I am. All right, so before I get started with your questions or whatnot, I stopped by a publishing office or whatnot to pick up some type of merchandise or whatever, and come to find out that where is it? Here it is. Pretty much, I made a newspaper for the vision board event or whatnot, so it was pretty cool. Just a little something or whatever. So I am going to find a frame and frame this bad boy and I'm pretty excited about that. Very, very excited. All right, so now on to your questions about quarantine. So during quarantine back in 2020 was a very eventful time, if I should say, or whatnot. I wasn't as nervous about the whole outbreak of this virus, of this man-made virus or whatever. Um, I wasn't nervous, but I was kind of excited because I was thinking to myself like, it's just going to be like an actual zombie apocalypse, you know, because I'm a fan of zombies or whatever. I'm a fan of zombies. I love guns, you know, I have firearm and stuff like that. And so, you know, here I am stocking up on ammunition, thinking to myself, okay, the time has come. You know what I'm saying? But as far as for like how was I productive during the quarantine, I actually started my side business, which is a bow tie company. It's called Mr. Gentleman, and I specialize in making handcrafted wooden bow ties. Okay, yes, a bow tie made out of wood. All right, it's just a simple idea that started in a garage, and pretty much just went with a creative idea and just ran with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm very big on dressing like in suits, ties, bow ties, neckties, and stuff like that. And so I know how to tie a tie, but I don't know how to tie a bow tie. And so I was like, I wanted to make a bow tie where it just stays perfect all the time, easy clip on, clip off. And I'm like, why not just play with some wood? So I was pretty much playing with my wood in the garage. Okay, pause. I did that. I also enjoy my time in my man cave at that time or whatever. Just playing video games and just enjoying that or whatnot. I enjoyed, of course, outdoors or whatever, even though the government say stay inside, I was still like outside, like riding my bike, you know, out walking the trail and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, and once again, my imagination is always like sky high, of course. And so during the pandemic, when it was like freezing cold outside, at that time I was in a house and my garage was frozen shut, so I couldn't get out the garage as far as like my vehicle or whatever. And so I pretty much like put on my heavy jacket, got like a little small backpack or whatever, my little hunting knife, firearm and stuff like that, and I walked to Walmart because I wanted to make some chili. You know what I'm saying? And so I walked all the way to Walmart, and it felt like I was in The Walking Dead. I'm not sure if you watched that show, The Walking Dead, but that's what I felt like I was on. You know, I felt like I was on Walking Dead, and it was really cool. It was really really cool. So as far as for the whole quarantine wise, I enjoyed myself. It was really fun. It was really cool, and that goes back to like whatever your living arrangements is, or whatever roof you're under, or whatever. You have to like arrange your spot to make it as peaceful as possible um to your fitting. You know what I'm saying? And I noticed that a lot of people were so bored out of their mind because their own household wasn't as balanced as they wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you stay at, you have to have your living arrangements. Whatever whatever makes you happy, you have to have that like broadcast everywhere, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? All right, moving on. Your next question that you asked is about ladies. um, as far as the collaborations, yes, I have lots of plans for scenes, skits, or whatnot. I'm actually am working on like not a short film, but like a fan made scene in a fantasy type of ordeal or whatnot. A good friend of mine, Ebony, you probably seen the trendy content that we made when she pushed me up against the rock and was like angry at me and stuff like that or whatever. Um, a lot of people are requesting more from that whole those two characters or whatever. And so we pretty much had like a little conference call. I want to say like about 3 days ago about what we want to do next or whatever. And also mind you that she's in Cali, I'm in Texas, and so we like working on like I'm gonna visit you, you come visit me, and once we visit each other, we're gonna try to knock out as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. Um, I do have other content ideas as far as for like certain scenes I want to make with other people. of course with their consent, clearly, you know. But I just have like all kinds of like visions that I want to fulfill, stuff like that, from vampires to witches doing human sacrifices as a humor. You know, I just have all kinds of just it's a lot. It's all written down. You know, one of them I'm gonna just go ahead and break down one of them since we're on it. I want to relive one of Outkast's songs. It's called "She Lives in My Lab," and pretty much like the beginning of the song is the actress Rosario, and she has like some type of evil laugh or whatever. And so I want to take that music or that scene and I want to recreate a scene of like me being dragged in the woods or whatnot, and pretty much being defeated, but also going to be used as a human sacrifice, but not fully because I escaped somehow. You know what I'm saying? I have all kinds of ideas, but anyway. So as far as for lady wise, yes, collaborations. As far as for like ladies in my life or whatnot, I got goals. With all due respect, you know what I'm saying. I got so much I want to achieve, and the last thing that I don't need is um somebody in my life that is not only a distraction, but somebody that's not balanced with themselves. Nobody's perfect, clearly. All right, nobody's perfect at all. It's one thing to say that you're healing, but it's another to say that you're healing, but you're not taking actions to heal. You know what I'm saying? If you continue to revisit what you've been through, if you're comfortable with a certain state of mind, I got better things to do, with all due respect. You know what I'm saying? I have way, way much more better things to do. I don't have time to sit and babysit, or sit and help somebody overcome stuff that they've been through. I'm not a professional therapist. That's what therapy is for. Okay. So if you're not going to therapy to heal yourself, if you're not taking actions to heal yourself, if you're not spending time outside, outdoors in the sun to better yourself, okay? If you're not drinking water, if you don't stretch on a daily basis or whatever, it's not going to last long. I'm sorry. I don't, it's not, I got better things to do, respectfully. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. And am I seeking? Of course, you know, but it takes a lot to um, lock me down. And I'm not trying to talk like I'm a bachelor or whatever, but it's like I have so much going on and I have so much that I want to do. Motivational quotes, yes, yes, motivational quotes. Um, some of my motivational quotes, and thank you for bringing up my grandfather or whatnot. God rest his soul, the original Papa Snow. I learned so much from him. And one quote that he told me that sticks with me to this day is that he told me that a body that's in motion stays in motion. Okay, I repeat, a body that's in motion stays in motion. And I just look back and I recall him being in his like upper 80s, close to 90, still walking on his 2 feet. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, not as fast because of age or whatever, but just walking on his 2 feet, being outside, watering his garden and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And so I look at that and I just find that as motivation to at least to be active as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be a super freaking athletic freak or whatever, but I just want to make sure that if there is a zombie apocalypse, I want to make sure I survive. Anyway, another motivational quote is whenever I bump into a small minded individual or whatever, and they just tell me their whole life problems without asking permission, sometimes I ask them, what does that have to do with me? And I say that respectfully, you know what I'm saying? And now, if you're a friend of mine, of course, hey, I could put on my Dr. Snow hat. You're good to go. You know what I'm saying? But any other stranger that I don't know, especially like people that I work with, Like, I don't care, to be honest. You know, I care, but I could quickly care less. That's just me. Okay. Especially at work, just random ass, excuse my language. I'm sorry I'm sorry if I could cuss on here or not. I'm sorry. Anyway, but just random ass. I mean, random guys. Just telling me their whole life problems. Baby mama this, their kids this, or whatever. It's like I don't. That sounds good, but I don't care. To be honest, I'm just here to clock in and clock out and do the bare minimum. That's what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's another quote that I live by. Another quote, each year I have like a little slogan for the year. Like last year in 2025, my motto was keep it live 2025. And so as far as for 2026, it's going to be stay in the mix for 2026. Okay. I want to stay in the mix. I want to pretty much put my feet in all kinds of like, you know, water and puddles and like to just experience stuff. This being one of them is just reaching out and just say, hey, I would like to be a guest on your podcast. And here we are. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just pretty much just stay in the mix for 2026. And another motivational quote that I live by, that's bounded in my blood or whatever. Excuse my language. I'm about to say some bad words. Okay, so please forgive me. You might have to bleep it out or whatever. But one of my favorite motivational quotes is, "Hater to the top, I shall go." All right, I'm gonna say that one more time. Okay, a hater, to the top, I shall go. Okay, that's a lot. Alrighty. Now, once again, if I'm not allowed to cuss on here, I do apologize in advance. Okay, but yes, a hater, to the top, I shall go, and I say that because once again, this world, especially in modern times, a lot of people are so miserable. A lot of people are depressed. A lot of people are stressed. A lot of people aren't really balanced with themselves. You know what I'm saying? A lot of individuals go to so many resources to make themselves feel better instead of sticking to what's natural. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you have to do prescriptions, if you have to do, you know, whatever you got to do that's prescribed to you by a professional, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? But if you are saying you feel this type of way because it's trendy, I can't take you as serious. You know what I'm saying? Plain and simple. And that it happens a lot, especially when I try to reach out to some people and try to collaborate and they say, yes, I'm so excited about this photo shoot. I'm so excited about this content. I'm so excited about this film or whatever. But when it comes close to the day of, now all of a sudden they have anxiety. That's fine. Anxiety is real. Yes. Depression is real. Yes. ADHD is real. Yes. Okay. But if you self-diagnose yourself based on what you've seen on social media, I can't really take you as serious. Okay. Go see a professional. Go see a doctor. All right. Now, if you are actually diagnosed with it, then okay, cool. I can approach you a certain way to make sure things are comfortable and things are great. You know what I'm saying? But if you see somebody that is happy with themselves, that's full of joy, that's full of life or whatever, and you're miserable and you want to bring that person down to your level so you don't feel alone, then with all due respect, go fuck yourself. Okay? Respectfully. All right. So and I say that with all due respect. Okay, plain and simple. Once again, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm still working on some things or whatever, but I'm not going to use certain trendy words or trendy quotes that's used damn near every single day as an excuse on why I am stopping myself from living my life to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? We all been through traumatized events. We all been through ups and downs. Yes, it's either going to make you or it's going to break you. Either or. Okay? If it breaks you, it's going to show. It's going to show up in your attitude. It's going to show up on your skin. You're going to age quickly. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna lose sleep, you know, and that's another thing as well about sleep. Okay, I value sleep so much. That's why I'm happy that I'm single. Okay, I look, I value my power naps. I value sleep or whatever. I'm not gonna stay up all night worrying about what I did or why I'm getting it, like whatever. I don't. I got better things to do. Okay. Anyway, yes. So as far as like depression, you could lose sleep, you could age, your health could be affected or whatnot, and then you look up down the road and be like, what happened to me? Okay. You let it happen to yourself. Alrighty. There's so many exercises you could do that can pretty much help switch up your mindset. You could journal, okay? You could go to the park and do a coloring book therapy. Alrighty. It's it's not that hard. Okay. And a lot of people don't know about coloring book therapy. People look at coloring book, be like, why do I need to color? I'm not a kid. And you see why they are the way they are. You know what I'm saying? I had one individual who reached out to me and asked me about, like, how do I journal, or how do I, get over depression or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I simply told them, just do these simple exercises. It's not that hard. Go to Dollar Tree. All you need is just about $5. Go to Dollar Tree and get you a coloring book. They have adult coloring books at Dollar Tree. Okay, they have a pack of crayons. Alrighty, actual name brand crayons. Okay, get you a snack, get you a drink. Go to the park, which is free. Okay, free. Sit down, no music, or if you want to listen to music, that's fine. Or just listen to nature, listen to the wind, listen to outside, and just color. You will feel the tensions that's on your body, that's on your shoulder, be released because of what you're doing, because your mind is shifted on. I want to bring these colors together to make this one art picture. You know what I'm saying? You got journal, you got coloring book therapy, what you put in your body as far as your food wise. Okay. If you eat junk, if you eat trash, you're gonna feel like trash. Plain and simple. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to say, hey, eat lettuce all day, every day. You can have some cheat meals here and there or whatever. But it's okay to put vegetables in your body. It's okay to eat your fruit. Okay, actual fruit, actual vegetables. I'm not talking about those fruit cups filled with corn syrup. Okay, what you put in your body can help you so much. Alrighty. What else? Spend time outdoors. Okay. One thing that annoys me at times is when people scream out, "We outside." You know what I'm saying? But they scream out, "We outside," but they go out their house to like a club or somewhere that's like dark, full of people. So you have different personalities, different energies all around you, alcohol, what I'm saying, smoke and drugs all around, but you're outside and you wonder why you're still feeling like a roller coaster. You feel what I'm saying? But spend time outdoors. You know what I'm saying? Put some sun on your skin. Okay? Spend time outdoors. Alrighty. Outside is free. It's not. Just go take a walk in the park. Take a walk in the park. Okay? Go feed some ducks. You know what I'm saying? Go on a bike ride. If you don't have a bike, we're in modern times. Maybe downtown you could rent a bike, and just go bike riding. You know what I'm saying? Drink your water. All right? Drink water. Okay? Water is good for you. Water is much needed. Okay? I look at and I listen and I don't judge. Whatever. But if you drink more alcohol than you do water, you're lame. Plain and simple. In my eyes, you're lame. And there's no excuse for that. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. So that's like one of my favorite quotes is fuck to the top you shall go. Plain and simple. Okay. When you find your purpose, when you find your passion, when you find, stuff that motivates you and makes you happy, there's going to be individuals out there that's going to strive to bring you down. Okay. Now, some might be upfront with it about jealousy and hate. That's great. Some might disguise it in jokes here and there, or some might look from afar but still watch you and hope that you slip and fall. Okay. What you do then is you still strive to do the best you can. Plain and simple. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. So yeah, I think that's all the questions or whatnot. Um, but yeah, so I thank you so much for this. This was pretty fun already. I enjoyed my time. This is just the beginning of something great. You know, I'm happy about your podcast. I'm happy about your books. Okay, I will be ordering one soon. Okay. Thank you so much for the wisdom. Thank you so much for the information about the books, about the publishing and stuff like that. As far as like my cookbook, it's not gonna be a big book. I'm gonna have like maybe 10 to 12 recipes, simple recipes and stuff like that. Um, I know I'm going to like do recordings of me cooking or whatever. Um, just not in my kitchen. I like my kitchen, but it's not like the way I want it to be. I'd rather be like in a kitchen that has like an island or whatever. So I'm gonna like rent an Airbnb and just cook everything that I can and make like I don't know some videos or some shit like that. You know, I'm looking forward towards coming back on your show and just chit chat or whatnot. So I'll leave you with this. Okay, I love music and I gained so much wisdom from music. Okay, so a quote from one of my favorite hip hop artists. His name is Guru from Gangstar. Okay, and he said in one of his quotes, he said in one of his songs, he quoted, "In the midst of war, I find peace within." Okay, so whatever situations that you're going through, understand that it's temporary. Okay, it's temporary situation because you are going to get over it. All right, but no matter what you go through, no matter what's being thrown at you, you make sure you find that peace within. Because if you are not in war, if you are not at war with yourself, then the enemies outside cannot affect you because you're not at war with yourself. If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And that just falls under self-love. You know, if you don't love yourself, how do you expect somebody else to love you? If you don't accept yourself, how you expect somebody else to accept you? You know what I'm saying? That's just where it is. So yes, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing. All right, I'm happy. I'm proud of you. Okay. Um, yeah, just focus on creating your own heaven on earth. You know, it's okay to be emotional at times. Okay, we all have emotions. Okay, don't bottle it up. If you gotta cry, let it cry. You know what I'm saying? But you pick yourself up and you keep putting one foot in front of the other. All right, that's just where it is. I'm a straightforward person. You know, I was cupcakey at times, but I don't got time for that no more. You know what I'm saying? Straightforward. Hey, we're gonna do this. All right. Anyway, but thank you so much for the time. I am about to have some dinner. Yeah, and work on a project. But you have a blessed day, and thank you so much. All right, much love.
Lord Snow, that was so good. I really appreciate your kind words. You did get me emotional at the end, and so I'm glad you said it's okay to be so because I am just, I was gonna say soft as baby. And on that note, yes, we can curse here. I will blank stuff out, bleep things out as it feels right and necessary. Other things that you said, I'm like, it's so funny to me that you asked me if I like zombies. Like, I love zombies. I love zombie lore. Like, you have no idea how much I love zombie lore. When you read it, you'll know. Like, zombie lore down. That's my thing. But like I even got gifted a lanyard years ago that said "Keep calm, kill zombies" from my family because they were just like, she's nuts, she's gonna love this, and they are right. As far as the way you dress, your fashion style, my uncle, he would call you blue cheese because you be dressing, and my sister would call you Mr. Put That Shit On, okay? Because you put that shit on. Do you hear me? I am a Walking Dead stan. As a matter of fact, I'm a Walking Dead apologist. Because if anybody has an issue with Walking Dead, I'm going to tell you why you should like it anyway. As a matter of fact, before Exposing Lesser Demons had a title, before I knew I was writing the novella, prequel novella, there was like the first book rather, before the first, well, that's confusing because when I say the first book, I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about the next one that comes out this year. But that was the original idea for the series for me. And I ended up changing, it developed a lot. It's very different than it would have been. But the original idea came to me during the first season of Walking Dead. Like, that was coming on TV. I had watched the first 2 episodes, 3 episodes, and I always sort of like on and off dreamt of zombies. But when The Walking Dead came out, I was heavily dreaming of zombies. It was the only thing I was thinking about. And I was in community college at the time, and I went on campus one day. It had been sunny for weeks. And then we get this one gray, sort of dreary day. I won't get into the details, but I was like, this is something like off of a zombie. Like, this is right at the top of a zombie show or movie. And, I was like, I don't really want to write a zombie story because Walking Dead just started. But, I mean, here we are years later. It's not a zombie story, but you can definitely tell that I'm inspired by zombie lore reading Exposing Lesser Demons. And I will leave it at that. I'm not spoiling anything, but I like to not tell people what the book is about at all and just kind of let them be shocked that it's as incredible as it is. I'm not gonna lie to you. Zombie apocalypse is yet another reason why it's a great idea for you to be searching for your next home around stores that you like and places that you want to visit, not just to create your perfect heaven on earth now, but even after the apocalypse does its damage, not even around the looting, but once the looting is done and everything's all desolate and empty, you'll still be able to, take from the slim pickings of your favorite stores, etc. And I'm thinking about The Last of Us. I don't know if you watched that. If you played the game, oh my God. If you play that game on any streaming platform, please let me know so that I can clear my schedule and watch it. Because I'm not a gamer, but I love watching people play video games. And I need to know what happens in that game because I know it's different than the show. And I want to see, I literally watched the whole show and then I watched every single piece of media that HBO put out about season 1 of The Last of Us. And if I can find more, I'm gonna do it. Because I mean, when I nerd out about any type of media, I'm looking for it. For instance, one of my favorite movies is The 40-Year-Old Virgin. I have watched that movie. I have watched mostly the director's cut multiple times. I don't even know what the theatrical version looks like, but I know that I also watched the commentary because I wanted to know what the director and the actors had to say. Judd Apatow is one of my favorite directors, mainly because he gets an idea and then he just casts a lot of people who are great at improv and lets them do their thing. And every time we get a hilarious movie. Basically, I'm just talking about my obsession with anything. If I like it and I love it, if I love it, I'm going to watch anything I can find about it. So I really, 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 really need to see some Last of Us gameplay from beginning to end. I need to know everything. So the little bit that I do know makes the show a lot better, especially season 2. I'm not going to get into it too much because I don't know if you've watched it. I don't know who might be watching this, who hasn't seen it. There's basically an element to the game that they took out because they said in season 1, they were like, oh, it's probably going to be too complex for the show and da-da-da-da. And so they added something else instead in place of that for the show, which was a really incredible change. You probably know what I'm referring to if you played the game and watched the show. Then when the show did wrap season 2, surprise, they put that thing at the end of season 2. And I was just like, oh my God, the people who knew, who were mad that this wasn't in there, they're gonna freak. Yeah, so if that's a show you watch, let's talk about that. But the reason I brought that up is because season 1 of The Last of Us, one of the best episodes, probably, I think it's episode number 3. It might be 2, but I think it's episode 3. Oh, the heat's about to cut on. Oh my God. Oh, it's so loud. But yeah, Bill and Frank, I think are their names, the couple in that show. I can't remember which is which. I'm sorry, I want to say Bill. He was the one who was flipping his house, you know, hiding when they were taking people out of their homes, and he ended up getting the entire town to himself, and he kept the houses, and he went through, you know, through the home goods store, not the home goods store, like the Home Depot type store. Never mind, Home Depot is canceled. The Lowe's type store. And he basically just upgraded his whole life, upgraded all of his doomsday prepper sort of accoutrements to his home, and definitely feel like you finding your new place, wherever you find it, in your ideal location around your ideal stores, that's kind of like the vision if it goes to apocalypse. So now I'm like, as much as I love living in the country, I'm gonna need to live near some stores that are either gonna amplify my protection or my entertainment in case of apocalypse. Like, I want to be on a farm in the middle of nowhere, but now I'm like, I'm gonna need to find a Lowe's in horse trotting distance or something. Anyway, and also the reason why I write books is because my dream, my idea, my hope was to write for TV, and the cheapest way to do that was to be an author. I was like, I don't like waiting for permission. I don't want to apply for people to say, like, I didn't even bother querying to a publishing house. I was like, I want to put a story out. I'm just gonna do it. And self-publishing was the only idea. And then I was like, once, you know, money comes in, maybe I'll produce a show or something like that. The reason why I write is because I'm not seeing shows fast enough, or in a lot of cases good enough, that are also talking about the things that I want to talk about. Like, most of my favorite shows are not black enough. I was gonna like blank out the word black for some reason, but one of my favorite shows that I've watched a million times over is Charmed, and hence my cat's name being Charm. And the first cat that we had, me and my cousin had, also has a P name because they wouldn't approve of Piper or Phoebe. So I was like, okay, fine, and we all agreed on Pepper, which I love. But yeah, I wrote this book. My main character reminds me a lot of Phoebe and her main love interest. I'm like, if there was a Cole in this entire series, it's her love interest, but that was more of a happy accident. But I did think Charmed missed out on a lot of magic elements that they could have brought onto the show, because they center around people, Caucasian people. If they would have centered it around people of color like they did with the revamp, they could have given us more ethnic magic tropes. And I think American Horror Story may have really hit that in a satisfying way, but that's just not a franchise that I'm into. It's a little darker than I like, even though I have been critiqued that this book is really dark. So that's why I write books, and the reason why I said that is because I think with your imagination, I mean, you could definitely be running a show, a full-on show, like, if not a sketch show, not necessarily comedy, but just something where you can utilize different creative aspects every episode, and you don't have to worry about following the last episode. I think you would really shine there. Yeah, if you wanted to talk writing books, you know a guy, so we can definitely rap about that. As a matter of fact, during quarantine, I was reading books on, well, one, not mental health. I was gonna say mental health. I read 7 Habits for Highly Effective People, and I was like, how can I figure out what kind of protesting I need to be doing through this book? And it really helped me in a way. I don't think Stephen Covey, who wrote 7 Habits, intended for it to be used for that purpose, but it really changed my whole life, and it even changed my art, because I was like, if writing this to me feels more correct than going out in the street and protesting, how can I make this a protest? And it definitely is giving that, and I think that's why the Caucasian man who found my book and said that it reads like cyberpunk, I think that's what he was picking up, because I didn't consider it a cyberpunk at all, but that did kind of become like a sub genre. Like, he really had to be reading it with a fine-tooth comb to pick up the cyberpunk elements. I think they'll show more in the installments ahead, but in this one, it was really just about this girl, this 1 week sort of, and just like her dealing with her personal stuff while the entire world is coming into power. Like, that's not a spoiler. She talks about it in the very first chapter, which is available. You can check that out on Amazon or Goodreads if you want to. The first 2 chapters are on Amazon, and I think like the first 2.5 are on Goodreads. So it's out there. It's out there. It's low-key out there. It's high-key tea. So check it out. And thank you for saying that you would. I love that. You were talking about people being distractions if you were considering them for romance, and I totally agree. I spent, you may have seen, I spent the last 1.5 years in, like, not only single but celibate, and then the guy that I briefly dated before that, younger guy, I worked with him. I was like, well, boy, I'm not interested in you. I'm working, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm not thinking about this. And we ended up being friends because, you know, he needed a ride, and I felt really bad for him because he was going through a lot, and that's my problem, being empathetic. The first night I dropped him off, I was thinking he's gonna have to find another ride after this. And then he started freestyling, and I'm like, I've never, like, I am obsessed with freestyling. My ex-husband used to freestyle. Like, 1 year he was like, what do you want to do for your birthday? And I was like, I want you and your friends who freestyle to come together and do a cypher that I may or may not get drunk enough to join in on, which I did, spoiler alert. But they came and they understood the assignment. I had a great time. So when this young guy came and he was freestyling, I was like, like, so cool. And we really just became friends. But he was like so determined for us to be together, and eventually I gave him a chance, which of course he ruined, because that's how things go when you give people a chance. That relationship was a huge and total distraction. I was also 1 year single and celibate when I started dating that young man. So it was just like, he just came and totally disturbed my peace, which could never happen if I never let him. But at the same time, there are some really positive takeaways, which, one, he is the reason why I actually went to a studio for the first time, because I was like, how can we get you to lay down these tracks? And he was like, if you split the time with me, I'll do it. So I was like, okay. I paid for half, and although I do have musical talents, that's just not where my focus was at that time. And still, it got me to write a song. I was joking about the topic, but I was serious about the level of talent that I wanted to put into the writing the song. I mean, nobody knows how good of a rapper I am. Even though that ex of mine was a huge distraction in my life, like totally derailed. Like, I think this book would have been out 6 months ago if I didn't waste 5 months with him. You know what I'm saying? In 5 months I can never get back. That aged me, that trauma bonded me to the girl at work. I could go on and on. But it also got me in the studio. It also got me realizing that I'm a talented, like, I already knew I could write music, but I didn't know I could write such clever raps. That's another thing. I asked you if you could sing. That's just something that we're gonna have to talk about later. I'm gonna have to be like, hey, Snow, can you rap? Do you have bars? I also wouldn't trade this last year of being single and celibate. So it's like, yes, I got a lot from the last connection, but I wish it didn't take romance to bring those things out of me, because that also came with a lot of distractions and a lot of trauma. But then, you know, we're because of that relationship, I may never leave single and celibacy. I really might not. I might just stay this way for the rest of my life, and I'm kind of okay with that, because there's a peace that I have now in being alone. Like, I feel like if it wasn't for that last relationship, I would have always been pining after love and romance. And now, because of that last relationship, of course I have desires, you know, romantically and otherwise, but I am so satisfied with being single and celibate because of that tumultuous relationship. Yeah, it sounds like you're unobtainable, and I've been told that I've always kind of been unobtainable. I never felt like that, but I do think I've become unobtainable, and I'm okay with that now. I intend to stay that way. So if I ever did try the whole romance again, it probably would take a lot, and I have no idea what that would be. Like, at this point, I can't imagine that I would let somebody more like within 1 foot of me, let alone touch me. I don't mind people self-diagnosing. I know what you mean by like the trendy, I'm okay with people self-diagnosing. I do think the issue, you'll probably agree with this, I think the issue comes in when they use it as a crutch or start to perceive it as a hurdle. I do have some diagnoses from when I was a child, like ADD is what they used to say, but I agree that it's all ADHD, because even though I'm not outwardly hyperactive in my brain, that's hyperactivity, bro. So we can call that ADHD. I'm cool with that. I think I realized that I was autistic from a commercial that I saw when I was like 13, I think. I was watching this commercial, and then I go to my mom and I'm like, do I have adult autism? Because this commercial is coming for me. Like, obviously different language, but she was just like, this is my mom, okay? She literally was like, that makes so much sense. She was just kind of like, why didn't I think of that? And then we had, like, we mentioned it to my stepfather, and he was like, I've been saying she's autistic this whole time. But like, he was such a goof, so we didn't really take him serious. Like, we thought he was joking. So but no, yeah, she's neurospicy, which is the diagnosis that TikTok would have given me. My self-diagnosis came with the stamp of approval from my parental figures, so I'm not mad at that. But I've literally never seen it as a hurdle or a hindrance, and I think anybody who does think of those as a hindrance or as a crutch should highly seek therapy. I think we should all be in therapy anyway. Like I said earlier, I definitely could utilize like having a therapist, just because why not? Like, especially somebody as introverted as I am. Like, if you're an introvert, you need somebody to talk to, and me talking to you for 40 minutes in the camera is probably the most therapy I've had, and that's probably not a good way to therapize yourself. But I'm also hearing as I talk, like, I really have come a long way, and a lot of that is due to introspection. But how fabulous would that be if I had a trained professional to yap to all day? And that's another thing. I would just make long videos, send those to my therapist, and see what comes out of that. But coloring books, totally underrated, because I literally, with that young guy that I was dating, I was like, he's got a lot of inner child trauma. I was like, I'm gonna see if he'll color, and he did. He colored sometimes, and I think it was really helpful to him. And then after a while, he was like, I feel like you're treating me like a child. And I was like, my bad. Like, it is inner child healing. That was my like whole reason behind it. But that doesn't mean that that's what he wanted to do. And even recently, literally like 2 days ago, before I was writing, I was just looking at my coloring book and my giant box of crayons, and I was like, I really want to color. Like, the urge just came on so strong, but I was like, no, we're gonna write, because the only reason I feel like this, in this way that I feel like I need a remedy by coloring, is because I need to write. It's because I need to have already written. So I did what I said I was gonna do. I wrote for that day. I didn't write as much as I wanted to, because I was also doing something else, but the little bit of writing that I did do made me feel such relief. And then I got even more writing on Saturday, and that really just kind of bookended, like, all the negative feelings that I had were gone because I focused on my art. So I highly believe creativity is the solution for a lot of issues. Even if, like, I wasn't directly writing about my life, but my subconscious is doing a lot of work while I'm writing. So that's the other thing about Exposing Lesser Demons, because I was like, I don't even know where a lot of the ideas came from. I did work hard. I did a lot of research. I knew what I was trying to put together, and it continued to surprise me, and I continued to be like, where did that twist of events come from? I blame the universe. No, I appreciate the universe. I have so much appreciation for everything that came to me to make this book and making the series. I'm always in awe, but this did get pretty dark. And I just was like, where did these things come from? Like, obviously these are not my experiences, but they did come from my imagination. So obviously there's something in me that needed to come out, and that's not a pun. If you read the book, that's not a pun. But yeah, there was a lot of dark things that I didn't realize, needed to be addressed in that. I ended up with a cat who taught me to be more aggressive, as well as that last relationship that had me go so dark when that ended, because it ended so terribly. We won't get into that. If I do talk about that in detail, it's going to be in the August issue, because I'm the guest for that one, I think. I might add some other guests, but I really want that one to be about me, because that's my month. So yeah, but I highly recommend coloring books as well. So I'm really glad that you said that, because it's such a slept on therapy tool. I think people underestimate what that can do. But as a writer, I think it's more obvious how that's helpful. But even just freaking a box of Crayolas will change your life. One more time, I want to thank Marco Polo. Please sponsor the Writer Wait podcast, because I love that we did this so much. Like, we almost tried so many different things. Like, how it went with Twitch. You saw what happened with Instagram. I mean, I was like, I don't know if I have time to figure out Kick, and there's no way I'm pushing this interview right here off for another day. No sir, I wasn't gonna do it. I feel like Marco Polo is the reason why you got the floor the way that you deserved. And I mean, I guess I said a lot more than I probably would have shared if we did this live. I feel like there were so many things that you were saying. I just wanted to say, oh my God, I can't believe you say that. Hold on. I have something to say about this. I have something to say about that. And I have something to say about the third thing. And you would have never gotten to finish a point if we were live, and vice versa probably, because you really put so many more things in mind that I want to talk about. Which brings me to something I don't even think I wrote down. No, that's actually my last note, which is, I am glad that we decided to wrap this up here, because I will never be satisfied. I want to ask you so many more questions. This was such, I don't know. I guess I don't know a word. This was such a valuable interview. It was so profound for me. There's a lot of things that I think we could further discuss on a podcast or in like our personal lives, but definitely there's more that we could talk about that could be on display, or if you're not comfortable with that, of course it doesn't have to be. But you just made me think of so many things again and again. I really hope that the heat is not a distraction. I turned it off earlier, that's why it was so cold, but I'm not the only one in the house right now, so I don't want to be rude and freeze other people out. Even though I'm the cold one, they probably would have been fine, but I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable. Now it's cutting off, thank you. Which is perfect timing, because I want to also thank you again. So yes, thank you to Marco Polo. We love this platform, or at least I love this platform for interviewing. I'm really glad that we did this to make sure that you, Lord Jon Snow, got the time that you needed to speak in the way that you needed to. If you have any other thoughts, I would love to hear them. But you've been an absolute treat as a guest. I already told you you are a treasure, and I'm so glad that I got just a taste of that for this podcast. So I guess on that note, I just have to wish you a pleasant day, a wonderful 2026. I really hope that you feel yourself thriving and continuing to blossom this year. I expect to do the same. But as far as the viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed this segment, and I hope you stay tuned for the next.